There's nothing for an old guy like you to do here except clean the bathrooms. After 10 long years, I finally returned to my IT company in Tokyo. On my first day back, I was greeted by a self-proclaimed elite young employee who had no idea who I was. Mistaking me for a mid-career hire, he went as far as ordering me to clean the bathrooms. All right, I'll do it. Just as I was about to accept the task out of sheer resignation, it happened. What are you making him do? Without him, this company wouldn't even exist. What? A stunning woman suddenly stepped in and revealed my true identity, turning the young employee's face deathly pale. My name is Keith. I'm a 35-year-old employee at DreamTech Incorporated, an IT venture company in Tokyo. 10 years. It felt long, yet it passed in the blink of an eye. The glass-walled elevator ascended quietly. Gazing at the vast cityscape beyond the windows, I reflected on the long journey that led me here. For a certain reason, I had to leave this company for the past 10 years. And today was my first day back in a decade. Whoa! As the elevator doors opened, I gasped at the sight before me. The company I had last seen was unrecognizable. A spacious office floor. Rows of cutting-edge computers lined up behind sleek glass partitions, giving off an air of openness. Employees, dressed in stylish casual wear, bustled about, moving with purpose. It sure has changed. Yes, over the past 10 years, this company had undergone a massive transformation. Back then, it was a small, unknown startup still trying to find its footing. Now, it had grown into a corporation with over 1,000 employees. The warm, somewhat chaotic atmosphere of the past had faded, replaced by the polished professionalism of a top-tier company. Of course, I'm happy the company has grown. But, for some reason, I also feel a little lonely. With mixed emotions, I walked down the hallway. A young man walking towards me suddenly stopped when he saw me. He looked to be in his early 20s. His outfit and hairstyle screamed trend-conscious youth. Good morning. I greeted him, but instead of returning the greeting, he simply gave me a once-over, scanning me from head to toe. Then, old guy, are you a mid-career hire? He smirked as he threw those words at me. Ha! Never seen your face before. Figured you were some new hire. Mid-career recruit? Well, he wasn't entirely wrong. Given his age, he must have joined the company while I was away. Of course, he wouldn't know my face, but still. My name is Keith. Have you heard of me before? Ha! No way. Why would I know some mid-career old guy? He scoffed and held up his employee ID in front of me, as if to assert his status. By the way, I'm Aaron. Just joined this year, but, well, I'm on a different level from the other newbies. His badge read Sales Department. Without being asked, Aaron started talking on his own. I graduated from a top-tier university to get into this company, you know. I had offers from major corporations left and right. But I chose this place because I knew it would be the best place to showcase my talents. After all, despite being a startup just a little over 10 years old, we're on the verge of leading the industry. The way he spoke made it clear that he saw himself as the elite of the elite. His face practically screamed self-confidence. Keith, was it? Where did you work before this? Don't tell me, a convenience store or something? Ha? No, I knew it. Look, if we start hiring just anyone because we're short on staff, the overall quality of our employees is only going to drop. Management really needs to consider the impact on the frontline workers. Aaron let out an exaggerated sigh. Then, all of a sudden, he clapped his hands together and said, "Oh, I know. Oh. I just thought of the perfect task for you, Keith. As your senior, I'd like to assign you some work." Work? Yeah, and it's just the right fit. Keith, you can clean the bathrooms. What? When I looked puzzled, Aaron frowned slightly and said, "Did you not hear me? cleaning the bathrooms. Isn't it obvious? That's about the only job a mid-career old guy like you can handle. You're so slow. At least try to use your brain, even if it's not much. But I actually have somewhere to be. Oh, I get it. You don't even know where the bathrooms are. Fine, I'll do you a favor and show you the way. Come on. Grinning, he grabbed my arm and pulled me along. He led me straight to the nearest restroom. All right, here you go. The cleaning supplies are inside. Okay. With his arms crossed at the entrance, Aaron was clearly planning to stand there and make sure I actually did the cleaning. Resigned, I rolled up my sleeves and was just about to step into the bathroom. What do you think you're doing? A sharp voice echoed through the hallway, making both of us turn around at once. Standing there was a woman so striking that she immediately drew attention. Short, stylishly cut hair framed her sharp, cool features. Her intelligent gaze was accentuated by a sleek blouse and a pair of form-fitting skinny pants that highlighted her flawless figure. Her simple yet sophisticated office attire only enhanced her beauty and commanding presence. What exactly do you think you're doing, Keith, the president? In that moment, Aaron's expression shifted. Ha! President. His face paled as he looked back and forth between me and the woman. President. Wait, Melanie, do you know this guy? The woman, called Melanie, narrowed her eyes and scolded him in a stern tone. I saw everything. Do you even realize what you were trying to make him do? You have no idea who he is, do you? Ha! Wait, what? Aaron's confusion had reached its peak. The woman's employee badge read Director of Corporate Strategy. Seeing those words, a wave of realization washed over me. At last, I had made it back to her. Well, Melanie. He was just showing me around. You know, since the office moved locations during the past 10 years. Is that so? Yeah. Aaron, I really appreciate your help. Ha! I smiled at him, and he visibly stiffened. The color drained from his face. Keith, don't tell me you're... Yes, that's exactly right. Melanie placed a hand on my shoulder and told Aaron firmly. He's the one who founded this company. It's a well-known story, isn't it? DreamTech was created by 2 college classmates. And one of them is Keith. Aaron's eyes widened in shock, and he was left speechless. Yes, just as Melanie said, I was one of the founders of DreamTech. On paper, the official CEO was the other founder, but in reality, we ran the company together as co-leaders. That's why Melanie had always referred to me as president. She, too, was one of our college classmates and had been with us since the very beginning, making her the longest-serving member of the company. So, who's going to be cleaning the bathroom now? Wait, that's... No way. Melanie glanced at me for a brief moment. That alone was enough to make Aaron tremble. Cold sweat formed on his forehead as he frantically shook his head. And then... Keith! A voice called out as a man approached, raising one hand in greeting. Of course, I'll handle the cleaning. Panicked, Aaron scrambled into the men's restroom, disappearing inside. Well, you finally made it back, Keith. 10 years. It was a hell of a ride, huh? The man who strode toward me grabbed my shoulder firmly. I'm back, Travis. Come on. Don't talk to me like some stiff executive. We haven't seen each other in forever. At least act like you missed me. Yeah. I'm home, Travis. As I smiled, the CEO, my best friend Travis, grinned back at me, his laughter bold and carefree. Then, he held out his hand. Welcome back, buddy. That voice, that laugh, the firm grip of his handshake. Everything about it was nostalgic, familiar, and deeply comforting. I felt my eyes sting as emotions welled up inside me. Until I met Travis, my life had been nothing but a dull, gray blur. When I was in elementary school, I lost my parents in an accident. From then on, I was bounced from one relative's home to another. The distant relatives who finally took me in were only after my parents' inheritance. At 18, when there was barely any money left, they handed me what little remained and kicked me out. So, I'm really all alone now. I quietly entered a university in Tokyo, living day to day without purpose. I had no dreams, no future to look forward to. Why was I even alive? At times, I even wished I could reunite with my parents sooner. Then, one day, "Hey, you're that full-ride scholarship student, right? Man, you must be crazy smart." The one who reached out to me was my classmate, Travis. "I'm gonna be a CEO one day. With the power of IT, I'm gonna make people happy, not just in Japan, but all over the world." That's like being a hero. Don't you think? Ha! Travis's catchphrase was, "Once I graduate, I'm starting my own company and becoming the best CEO in the world." I thought he was utterly reckless. Honestly, I even looked down on him a little. And yet, "Keith, why don't we do it together?" "What? With your brains, we'd be unstoppable. Lend me your strength, or better yet, let's build this company together." No one had ever needed me except for him. He was the only one who recognized me, the only one who believed in my potential. I can't even begin to describe how much that meant to me. Could someone like me really bring happiness to others? That was the moment I felt, for the first time, a reason to keep living. That night, the three of us went out for drinks. Melanie had planned a small celebration for my return. As she sipped her drink, she let out a small chuckle. "But to think you two actually started a company while still in college." Looking back, that took incredible determination. Yeah, it really did. If you're going to take action, you might as well do it early. That's my motto. In our senior year of college, Travis and I raised funds online and actually launched our company. Later, recognizing Melanie's talent for management, we brought her on board as well. The three of us struggled together, overcame countless obstacles together. We shared the joy of our successes and chased the same dream together. The dream of using IT to make people around the world happier. This company has grown so much since then, but we're still far from being the best in the world. Travis downed his beer in one gulp, then placed his glass on the table with a serious expression. He turned to me and gave my shoulder a firm pat. "That's why we're counting on you, Keith. You're going to use everything you've learned over these 10 years to take DreamTech even further, right?" "Yeah." I met Travis's gaze and nodded. Of course. These past 10 years, I had been away from them for the future of DreamTech. Thanks to Travis's family connections, I spent those years working within his relatives' companies, studying cutting-edge IT technology and advanced business strategies. DreamTech had grown into a powerhouse thanks to Travis's bold leadership, Melanie's exceptional management skills, and I'd like to believe that the knowledge I fed back to them over the years played a role as well. "Keith, I know these 10 years weren't easy for you." "Yeah. But now, I want you to directly share what you've learned with our employees. That will make DreamTech even stronger. Global expansion is no longer just a dream." "That would be nice." "Alright, then let's toast again to the next big step for DreamTech." As Travis cheerfully ordered another round of drinks, I wondered if he had noticed that I had deliberately kept my words vague. That I wasn't entirely on board with the idea of DreamTech growing even bigger. "Welcome home, Keith." I turned to find Melanie watching me intently. There was a slight hesitation in her gaze, almost as if she was holding back something, and maybe even a hint of sadness. After the party, since we were heading in the same direction, Melanie and I decided to walk home together. The cool night air felt refreshing, helping to clear my slightly tipsy head. For a while, we walked in silence. "Keith, I've been waiting for this day for so long. For you to come back." Melanie quietly opened her mouth to speak, gazing at me. Her words made my heart skip a beat. Keith, I've always loved you. I don't want you to go anywhere ever again. She had confessed to me right before I left 10 years ago. I still remember the surprise I felt and the sincerity in her eyes. Not once had I forgotten that moment. But back then, you never gave me an answer. You just left. I'm sorry. The reason was because Travis had feelings for Melanie too. Knowing that, I couldn't bring myself to betray my best friend, so I left without ever telling her that I had loved her too. I'm still waiting, you know. What? This time, I want a proper answer. Melanie smiled at me, but once again, I found myself unable to say anything. The next day, standing in front of a large screen, I faced about 20 employees, all watching me with a mix of anticipation and uncertainty. They were DreamTech's top system engineers. All right, this is the culmination of 10 years of work. Taking a deep breath to calm the slight nervousness I felt, I began to speak. Today, I've gathered you all here to introduce a new AI-powered programming assistance system. As I tapped on my tablet, graphs and diagrams appeared on the screen. A few gasps of surprise rippled through the room. Compared to conventional systems, this one increases coding speed by 3 times and improves error detection accuracy from 80% to 98%. The murmurs of surprise grew louder, clearly reaching my ears. The numbers seemed almost too good to be true. Even I understood that. But these 10 years had been for this very moment. I had studied cutting-edge IT technology at various companies, feeding my knowledge back to DreamTech while honing my own skills. And finally, I completed the system that would become a new pillar of DreamTech. That determination was what sustained me through 10 long years. That's not all. This system's AI has an advanced understanding of natural language. It can accurately interpret a programmer's intent. For example, my voice trembled slightly as I spoke into the microphone. At the very back of the room, Melanie gave me a reassuring nod, silently telling me it's okay. Encouraged, I took a deep breath and said, "Dream System, create a payment processing feature for an online shop." A brief moment of silence. Then, line after line of code began appearing on the screen. And then, within just a few seconds, a flawless payment system code was completed. This is incredible. A young engineer, eyes wide with amazement, blurted out in excitement. His eyes shone with pure exhilaration. With this system, development time will be drastically reduced. And the quality will definitely improve. This is revolutionary. Excited voices erupted from every corner of the room. Some engineers stood up, pumping their fists in excitement. Others were hugging each other in joy. Yes, the faces of these people who support the company every day, filled with joy. This is what I wanted to see. In that moment, the struggles of the past 10 years felt completely worth it, and a deep emotion welled up inside me. Let's implement this system immediately, Keith. An older engineer leaned forward, his voice urgent with enthusiasm. I nodded. Of course. But then, I addressed everyone. However, this system is just a tool. The future of DreamTech still relies on your skills and creativity. I deeply respect all of you. And I ask for your continued support in pushing this company forward. Placing the microphone down, I bowed deeply to everyone in the room. A moment of silence filled the room, and then, thunderous applause erupted. Welcome back, Keith. At someone's call, my eyes grew hot, and I could no longer stop my vision from blurring. Melanie, wiping her eyes with a handkerchief, smiled gently at me. I'm back, and I look forward to working with all of you again. 3 months later. The AI-assisted system had been implemented across the company, producing results beyond expectations. We did it, Keith. Travis grabbed my shoulders, his face lit up with uncontrollable excitement. Our numbers are skyrocketing. We've never seen growth like this in the history of the company. Yeah. The graph displayed on the conference room screen. Seeing it, I was so shocked that I doubted my own eyes. Incredible. What are you acting so surprised for? This is all thanks to you, Keith. Travis clapped me on the back with a forceful thud. His eyes gleamed, practically radiating excitement as he looked up at the graph again. We've been steadily growing, but things had plateaued recently. But Keith, ever since you came back 3 months ago, our sales have doubled compared to the previous month. And they've been climbing ever since. It was all thanks to the AI-powered development support system. With significantly improved efficiency, even complex projects that used to take ages could now be completed in record time with fewer people. As a result, we were able to take on more projects, and our stagnant revenue had roared back to life. This is our chance. We need to push for more contracts and drive sales even higher. I'll get the sales team fired up right away. Travis's voice trembled with excitement as he reached for his phone to contact the sales department. But something about his urgency made me furrow my brows. Wait. Isn't this enough? What? In that moment, the joyous atmosphere in the conference room completely shifted. What are you talking about, Keith? What do you mean, enough? Travis's voice dropped in tone, his enthusiasm replaced with suspicion. I hesitated for a moment, but I knew I couldn't back down now. Taking a deep breath, I turned to face him directly, meeting his displeased expression head-on. There's something that's been bothering me ever since I came back. It was the insane amount of overtime. Every time I left the office at the official closing time, the hallways were eerily empty. When I asked around, I found that no one could even remember the last time they had left work on time. At some point while I was away, excessive overtime had become the norm. Especially in these last 3 months, with the increase in projects, there's no way people aren't exhausted. Honestly, they look exhausted. Employee well-being is just as much a part of management as revenue growth. So I turned to Travis, hoping he'd see the problem. But his response was, "So what? What? They like their jobs, Keith. They're working hard because they want to. Why should I stop them?" Travis, are you seriously saying that? Yeah. I'm lucky to be surrounded by such dedicated employees. A faint smile even appeared on his face. Travis casually spoke, as if it were nothing. Travis, if that's your mindset as CEO, then this company's overtime problem is never going to be fixed. Well, of course not. It's not like I'm making them stay late. They choose to. They choose to. At that moment, a deep sense of unease settled in my gut. Later, as I walked down the hallway after leaving the conference room, I found myself rubbing my temples. My conversation with Travis kept replaying in my mind. What happened to you, Travis? At this rate, everyone is going to collapse. Was there anything I could do? I kept searching for a solution, thinking and thinking, until suddenly, it hit me. That's it, the system. And the next day, I took matters into my own hands, calling on each department and gathering all the key managers. Everyone, how about trying out a new system on a trial basis? With this idea in mind, I immediately got to work. I modified the AI-powered development support system used by the engineering department so that other departments could utilize it as well. Last night, I worked until the early hours, finally managing to shape it into something usable. I'm sure you've already heard about the success in the development department. If we implement this system, it will increase work efficiency and reduce overtime. At first, everyone listened with skeptical expressions. But as I persisted in explaining and persuading them, interest gradually started to grow. All right. If it benefits my team, I'm willing to give it a try. The first to agree was the head of the sales department. That sparked a chain reaction, and one after another, people began raising their hands, saying, "We'd like to implement it too." Everyone. I wasn't the only one who saw the problem and wanted to do something about it. With a newfound sense of support, I immediately set to work on deploying the system. 2 weeks later. Thank you, Keith. One day, a young employee from the sales department approached me. He looked a little tired, but at the same time, he wore a bright, relieved smile. Thanks to you, our overtime has significantly decreased. No matter how busy we are, somehow, we always manage to finish by closing time. I really appreciate it. I see, that's great to hear. Similar reports had been pouring in from other departments as well. Overtime had drastically decreased across the company, yet revenue continued to rise. Even Travis shouldn't have any complaints about this. Internally, I celebrated with a silent fist pump. I wish you were the CEO, Keith. What? Everyone's saying it. That if you were in charge, well, instead of Travis. Tell me more about that. When I leaned in, Timothy hesitated, struggling to find the right words, but eventually, he agreed to talk on the condition that no one would know he was the one who told me. What? The moment I heard what he said, I felt a shock so deep it nearly turned my vision black. The next day, Travis summoned me to the CEO's office. How dare you act on your own like that? With a loud slam, he pounded his fist on the desk the moment I walked in. Without even consulting me, the CEO, you introduced some ridiculous system and unilaterally reduced overtime? Just who the hell do you think you are? Keith. Calm down, Travis. I admit I should have spoken to you first. But what's the problem with reducing overtime? Thanks to increased efficiency, people no longer need to work late. Shut up. Travis slammed his fist onto the desk again. And then, words so shocking that I could hardly believe my ears came out of his mouth. If we can maintain these numbers without overtime, then imagine how much more we could make with it. You just threw away an opportunity for even higher profits. You've cost the company money, Keith. You? Was this really the same Travis I had known? The Travis I remembered valued his employees above all else. He would never have put profits over their well-being. You've changed, Travis. What did you just say? You no longer deserve to be CEO. His face instantly flushed red with anger. I simply stood there, watching my old friend. Strangely, the deeper my anger grew, the calmer I felt. I heard something from one of the employees, Travis. You've been pressuring them, haven't you? Pressuring them? You said they were working overtime on their own. But if the CEO keeps pushing them with increase the revenue demands, that's no different from forcing them. Employees have no choice but to work late every day to meet your expectations. And on top of that, employees who refuse to work overtime. Employees who worked late but couldn't meet their targets. Employees who had personal circumstances preventing them from staying late. Travis pressured them all, making their working conditions unbearable until they resigned on their own. That was the reality of DreamTech, a reality that had left me stunned when I heard it from a young employee. Stop this, Travis. I've seen a lot in the outside world, both good and bad. Companies that overwork their employees eventually lose momentum. Yes, producing results is important, but the employees themselves matter even more. Employees can always be replaced. A CEO's job is to seize every opportunity and grow the company. Don't talk about them like they're disposable. That kind of mindset is why DreamTech has such a high turnover rate. Let's be honest, right now. This company is nothing short of a black company. That's just idealistic nonsense, Keith. Your naive thinking won't protect this company. I'm the one who's kept DreamTech alive for the past 10 years. Our argument escalated, our voices so loud they could probably be heard outside the CEO's office. Neither of us was willing to back down, and the deep rift between two friends who were once inseparable had become undeniable. And then, if you keep going against me, I'll fire you, Keith, even you. You may have been a co-founder in practice, but right now, you hold no official title. It would be very easy to kick you out. Is that how you threatened Melanie too? Melanie? Melanie had also noticed Travis's change early on and had tried to warn him. I heard it from her directly. But when he threatened to fire her if she kept opposing him, she had no choice but to stay silent. If she left, there would be no one left to protect the employees from Travis. You don't care about Melanie anymore, either? I knew you had feelings for her, and that's why I... Ha! Travis scoffed at my words. And then, the only thing that matters is growing this company. There's nothing else more important. Travis. At this moment, the rift between us had become something that could never be mended. In the end, I couldn't change Travis's mind. With a heavy heart, I left the CEO's office. And there, at the end of the hallway, stood Melanie, her face filled with concern. I could hear your voices all the way out here. Are you okay, Keith? No. I shook my head weakly. Melanie murmured, I see. As her expression darkened. I'm sorry, while you were gone, I let DreamTech turn into this. Melanie, you've done more than enough. You've been protecting everyone this whole time. Even while dealing with her own exhausting workload, she took on extra tasks to lighten the burden on others. She had repeatedly spoken up, trying to remind Travis that employees were more than just numbers. And even when she was on the verge of being pushed out, she remained the last line of defense for the employees. I really wanted the three of us to keep chasing our dreams together, just like before. But Melanie looked toward the CEO's office, a bittersweet smile on her face. Seeing that expression made my chest tighten with sorrow. Had Travis really forgotten our dream? Hey, Keith, do you remember? We were assigned to the same seminar in our junior year. That was the first time we ever talked. Yeah. I remember. Back then, Melanie had been a completely different person. She was timid, reserved, and always unsure of herself. Then, at some point, she suddenly became more confident, more outspoken. I had always wondered what had caused that change. Keith, thanks to you, I was able to change myself. Wait, me? It was back when we had to form groups for a seminar project. Melanie, who was easily pushed around, was forced to take on the responsibility by her group members. Left with no choice, she stayed in the lab late into the night, preparing the presentation all by herself. That was when I happened to walk in. I had forgotten something and returned to retrieve it. This is your work, Melanie? It's amazing. Ha! I understood everything at a glance. That's a real talent. Apparently, that's what I had said when I saw the poster she had made. For her, it was the first time someone had ever acknowledged her efforts. And in that moment, the first spark of confidence was born. I had no confidence, no dreams, but I wanted to find something I could do. I wanted to build my self-esteem and discover a dream of my own. That was the moment I decided to start improving myself. And you were the one who gave me that push. Through her relentless efforts, Melanie eventually discovered her talent for management. Seeing her potential, I recruited her to DreamTech when we first started the company. And at some point, she became more than just a colleague. From the moment you acknowledged me. I've loved you, Keith. As the evening sun poured through the window, Melanie smiled at me. She smiled, yet her eyes gazed at me with unwavering seriousness. She's beautiful. As I found myself captivated by her, I realized something once again. My feelings for Melanie and my responsibility to stop Travis's reckless path. Melanie, let's protect everyone together. This is something only we can do. Yes, you and me, Keith. We exchanged determined nods, standing united with a single purpose. To protect our employees and DreamTech. At that very moment, our resolve became one. But as if testing our determination, DreamTech was about to face its greatest crisis yet. Keith, this is bad. As I walked down the hallway, Theodore, a young engineer from the development team, came running up to me, visibly shaken. His face was pale, making it clear that something serious had happened. My heart pounded with a sense of dread. Calm down. Take a deep breath and tell me what's going on. Even as I tried to steady my own nerves, I carefully asked. Theodore, on the verge of tears, spoke in a trembling voice. There's been a critical mistake in the G Corporation project. What? The moment he said it, my heartbeat grew rapid and heavy. The G Corporation project was the biggest contract in DreamTech's history. If we succeeded, the company's performance would skyrocket. Even Travis, who had been relentlessly pushing employees for profit, might finally ease up. Yes, everyone had placed their hopes on this project, and yet, what kind of mistake? Even my own voice began to shake. Unable to hold it together any longer, Theodore collapsed to his knees, his anguished voice echoing through the hallway. The schedule change wasn't communicated properly. At this rate, we only have 1 month left to deliver to G Corporation. No, that can't be. The reason this shocked me so much was that the system for G Corporation was highly specialized. They had invested a massive budget into it, and the project was designed to take a full year to complete. As of now, we were only 6 months into development. In other words, at some point, the deadline had been shortened by nearly 6 months. How could such a critical change go unnoticed until now? I'm so sorry. Theodore flinched, his shoulders trembling, and in that instant, I realized my mistake. Blaming him or trying to find someone responsible wouldn't fix this. What mattered now was, has G Corporation been contacted yet? Yes, we informed them that meeting the deadline would be impossible. And how did they respond? They're furious. They said if we don't deliver on time, they'll demand compensation for damages. I figured as much. We needed to take every possible action immediately. After sending Theodore back to the development team, I started thinking at full speed about what I could do. And then, Keith! A furious voice roared from down the hallway, accompanied by the sound of heavy footsteps. It was Travis. You really screwed us over this time. Keith, this is your fault. What? I was about to ask what he meant. But no words came out. Travis had grabbed me by the collar and slammed me hard against the wall. This happened because you reduced overtime. Important information wasn't properly handed over, and no one caught the schedule change. In the past, someone would have noticed. This is the result of your self-righteous ideals, Keith. I couldn't argue against his words. By drastically cutting overtime, I had unintentionally reduced the amount of communication between employees. I had overlooked the risks that this could bring, so I couldn't deny it when he called me self-righteous. If G Corporation, the biggest company in the industry, sues us for damages, DreamTech is finished. Because of you, 1,000 employees could lose their jobs. Do you understand that, Keith? My vision went dark, and I stood there, speechless. Then, the commotion drew the attention of the employees, who began stepping out of the office one by one. Keith! What do we do now? Everyone! Snapping back to reality, I saw countless worried faces staring at me. TCH. Clicking his tongue in frustration, Travis shoved me toward them. I stumbled and landed on the floor, only to look up and see him grinning down at me. You guys hear that? Keith here is gonna fix everything. He says he'll take responsibility for the mess he caused. Isn't that right, Keith? Yeah. Of course I will. Even if he hadn't said it, I had already made up my mind. I met his glare head on, and he scowled, unimpressed. If you fail, you're out. And you'll be the one paying for the damages. With those parting words, he stormed off toward the CEO's office. Everyone, please listen. In the development office, I raised my voice, addressing the engineers and programmers. Let's be clear. Delivering within 1 month is impossible. But that doesn't mean we can give up. The room was filled with uneasy expressions. They were all waiting for my next words. Right now, the sales team is negotiating with G Corporation and offering our apologies. While they do that, we need to push forward as much as possible. If we fully utilize the AI-assisted system, we cannot meet the 1-month deadline. But we can finish it within 2 months. Melanie stood beside me and raised her voice as well. Everyone, let's get through this crisis together. The future of DreamTech depends on all of you. From that moment, we moved as one. The development team focused entirely on the G Corporation project, coding relentlessly, not wasting a single second. Meanwhile, the special task force led by Melanie worked around the clock, negotiating with G Corporation. I, too, took the lead in the development team, tackling the most challenging technical problems and solving them one by one. But time kept slipping away. Keith, it's the head of development at G Corporation. Nearly 2 weeks had passed when Melanie, looking pale, handed me the phone. I've had enough of this, DreamTech. The moment I answered the call, a furious voice burst through the receiver. No matter how many times you apologize, we can't extend the deadline. You assured us everything was fine, so we moved our schedule forward. Now our entire plan is falling apart. How do you intend to take responsibility for this? My sincerest apologies. We are doing everything possible to accelerate our work. Please, just 1 month, no, even half a month would help. I want to terminate the contract right now. With that furious outburst, the call abruptly ended. Still holding the receiver, I instinctively turned around. Melanie. If I showed any weakness now, it would affect the morale of everyone working under me. I knew that. But still. Not yet, Keith. We can't give up. Melanie placed a reassuring hand on my shoulder. But her voice lacked the strength it once had. She's exhausted too. And so am I, as well as everyone else on the team. As the days passed, the exhaustion became more visible on everyone's faces. Dark circles appeared under their eyes, and by the time we had less than 2 weeks left, the entire company was filled with tension, anxiety, and a creeping sense of defeat. Keith, our work is falling behind schedule. At this rate, we won't even be able to meet the deadlines for other projects. Got it. I'll take over the G Corporation project myself. Everyone else, focus on completing your assigned tasks as quickly as possible. Once you're done, help out wherever you can. Keith, about the alternative proposal we offered G Corporation. The amount they're asking us to cover for their losses is too high. It's practically the same as the expected damages from contract termination. Keep negotiating, Melanie. Try to bring that amount down as much as possible. The updates coming into the development team's crisis center were growing worse by the day. I was physically drained from working around the clock. I was also losing the energy to keep motivating the team. And then, finally, that day arrived. Keith. G Corporation just sent their final warning. If we miss the deadline in 5 days, they will terminate the contract and demand full compensation. What? Melanie, her face clouded with despair, delivered the news, and my hands froze in place. The developers who had fought alongside me also stopped, staring in stunned silence. We're already 90% done. But still, in just 5 days. Even Keith might not be able to. Words of defeat, something no one had dared to say until now, began spreading rapidly through the office. In that moment, I felt something inside me snap. Maybe we should just. I barely stopped myself from finishing that thought, covering my mouth with my hand. Saying something like, let's just give up. The very words I should never have spoken. Keith. At that moment, Melanie placed a hand on my shoulder. Do you have an update? No. It's not that. Melanie glanced toward the office entrance with a slightly puzzled expression. Standing there was, I think your name was. It's Aaron. And, about that time, well. As I approached, the young employee awkwardly bowed his head. It was Aaron, the same guy who had mistaken me for a mid-career hire on my first day back after 10 years. I saw him pacing nervously in the hallway, glancing this way. I thought he might have something to say. That was the reason Melanie had brought him here. Aaron hesitated, shifting his gaze nervously, mumbling, So, is there anything I can do to help? His words caught me completely off guard. What? Well, I did graduate from a top university. Yeah. I remember you mentioning that. And I have the brains and sense that put me on a different level from other recruits. No, that's not the point. This is your fault, Keith. Huh? My fault? No. Not your fault. It's thanks to you. In other words, Keith. Melanie smiled as she took over Aaron's scattered explanation. He had assumed I was just another mid-career hire, only to realize that I was actually one of the founders of the very company he had admired for so long. Not only that, but I had developed a groundbreaking system and transformed an exhausted workplace that had been suffocating under an oppressive CEO. Seeing all of that, he had finally recognized his own arrogance. I was always praised as an elite, the company's future star, but I've never created anything from scratch, never changed anything. Seeing you do all that made me realize how pathetic I was, strutting around like I was better than everyone else. Honestly, I'd rather just crawl into a hole right now. With an almost inaudible murmur, he added, I'm really sorry about last time. I may not be able to do anything now, but one day, I will be someone who can change this company just like you, Keith. You will. I'm sure of it. People who can recognize their own flaws and grow from them are rare. That alone was impressive. Someday, he would surpass everyone else. And that's why this company can't go under. What if I end up being your boss one day? Yeah. With how he had changed, that future didn't seem impossible at all. Before I knew it, a smile had spread across my face. The crushing despair that had weighed me down was starting to lift. Thank you, Aaron. What should I do? Not just me, everyone here wants to help DreamTech. And more than that, we want to help you, Keith. Thank you. Then, I have something important to ask. My voice caught in my throat as gratitude welled up inside me. What I asked of Aaron was simple: protect DreamTech. While we've been consumed with the G Corporation crisis, you and the others have kept this company running. I can't thank you enough. And I need you to keep doing it. That's all? You're in the sales department, right? Work with your team to bring in as many new deals as possible. Maintain strong relationships with our current clients. Once this is over, DreamTech needs to keep moving forward. Can I count on you? Aaron pouted slightly, looking a bit dissatisfied, then suddenly, he smacked both his cheeks with his hands. Piece of cake. Leave it to me. With a cocky grin, he turned and dashed toward the sales department's office. What a reassuring response. Melanie and I exchanged smiles. All right. Mimicking Aaron, I gave my own cheeks a firm slap. Then, I set my hands back to work. Until the chime signaling the end of the workday rang, I was so completely absorbed in my work that I couldn't hear anything around me. It was the deepest state of concentration I had ever experienced. For the next 4 days, every employee gave their all to their work. Because of that, I was able to focus entirely on completing G Corporation's system without any distractions. And then, on the day before the deadline, at 5:55 p.m., my hands stopped. It's done, it's finished. The moment I stood up from my chair. Keith. Melanie, who had been watching anxiously beside me, threw herself at me in a tight embrace. At the same time, thunderous applause erupted throughout the development office. Keith, thank you for all your hard work. Thank you so much, Keith. I can't believe it, we really did it. Some employees grinned from ear to ear, while others wiped away tears. Everyone genuinely celebrated the completion of what had seemed like an impossible task. Shortening a year-long project by half a year and delivering it on time. Keith, you did it. Thank you, truly. Melanie's voice trembled as tears streamed down her cheeks. You too, Melanie, and everyone, thank you. From now on, let's all go home on time again. At my words, laughter and cheers filled the office. I managed to close 3 deals in just the last 4 days. On the elevator ride home, Aaron stood beside me, looking proud of himself. That's impressive. You and your team really pulled through, thank you. Just make sure I get my overtime pay, okay? And, well, I expect a nice bonus too. I'll pass that request along to Travis. He needs to know how hard everyone worked. I wasn't talking about him, Keith. I turned to look at Aaron, and his usual playful expression was gone. Instead, he was looking at me with unwavering seriousness. Keith, you should become the president. We all want to follow you. What? The next morning. With a heavy heart, I walked toward the CEO's office. After knocking and stepping inside, I found Travis reclining comfortably in his chair, gazing at me with a smug expression. Good morning, Keith. I see you managed to deliver to G Corporation on time. Well done, Travis. In light of that, I'll hold off on firing you. But don't you ever pull something like that again. I'll need to remind the others as well to make it clear who's really in charge here and who they should be listening to. Travis, it's time to put an end to this. Saying that, I took out a black USB drive. This was something Melanie had entrusted to me. Keith, I want you to hold on to this. I'd been pretending to follow Travis while secretly recording his abusive remarks toward the employees. If things get completely out of hand, use this. Before I could even finish explaining, Travis scoffed. Ha! What do you think that proves? This could be fake. You're all ganging up on me, painting me as the villain. I've been the one protecting this company all along. And now you. This isn't the only evidence. What? Travis's face twisted in confusion. Right in front of him, I placed a stack of documents on his desk. What is this? It's proof, Travis. Proof that you were the one responsible for this entire disaster. As I stated it calmly. Travis froze in place, his mouth slightly open in shock, and muttered, "Huh. I'm submitting this to the next shareholders meeting. Once that happens, you, the one who pushed DreamTech to the brink of collapse, won't be able to stay on as president any longer. Keith." Ha, I was wondering what nonsense you'd come up with next. Why would I, the CEO, do something to destroy my own company? That's exactly what I want to know. Why did you access the development department's delivery schedule management system from the computer in this office, the one only you use? What? In an instant, Travis's expression stiffened. His face spoke louder than any words. It was clear he was thinking, how do you know that? Swallowing down the emotions rising within me, I met his gaze head-on. The AI. Ha! I had integrated an AI into the system as a trial at the request of the development team. Human oversight inevitably leads to mistakes and omissions. To prevent that, I had enhanced the system's management functions using AI support technology. At the same time, I had also reinforced security measures. The system is crucial to the development team. If someone were to infiltrate and tamper with it, it would be a serious problem. That's why I programmed the AI to automatically log any unusual access attempts. What the hell? For example, unauthorized access late at night, when no employees should be in the office. Just like it says right there. I pointed at the documents on the desk. Travis's face visibly drained of color. The AI had detected and recorded the IP address used for the access attempt. It matched the very computer in front of him. The security log showed that on the night of the unauthorized access, at around 1 a.m., someone had entered the office using the keycard that only the CEO possessed. All of it was detailed in the materials I had compiled, evidence I intended to present to the shareholders. Proof that Travis was the one behind this entire crisis. Even without this evidence, we already confirmed it with G Corporation. They told us that you were the one who contacted them, informing them that the deadline had been moved up by 6 months. They thought it was strange. But since the request came directly from the company's president, and with the AI system implementation becoming a well-known industry rumor, they didn't question it. Right after that, the delivery schedule was changed without anyone knowing. Travis, pale as a ghost, lowered his head in silence. Seeing him like that, I could no longer hold back my emotions. You were the one who said we should start this company, Travis. So why? I was saved by your words. I chased my dreams because I had you by my side. I wanted this damn company to collapse. My words were cut off by the sound of his fist slamming onto the desk. Travis, do whatever you want. Expose me, report me. I don't care. I'll quit as president myself. You and Melanie can do whatever you want with this place. You have that little recording she secretly made too, don't you? I bet the next shareholders meeting will be lively. It's over. Just like you said, everything's finished. Rising from his chair, Travis clapped a hand on my shoulder and turned toward the door. As he passed by, the look on his face was one of pure resignation. And for some reason, I had a terrible feeling, like this was the last time I would ever see him. Wait, Travis. Just as I hurriedly turned around to stop him. Enough, Travis. The door flew open with a bang, and Melanie stormed into the CEO's office. Melanie. As Travis halted his steps, Melanie strode up to him and, with a loud smack, slapped him hard across the face. What? Stop lying. Tell the truth, Travis. You don't really want DreamTech to collapse, do you? I could hear him gasp softly. But then, the next moment, a dry laugh escaped his lips. It's you too. It's you who pushed me to this point. What do you mean? You always wanted Keith, never me. You never needed me, never looked to me. A company that doesn't need me might as well burn to the ground. It was as if he had been holding it in for years, and now, everything was pouring out all at once. It was a cry that struck deep into the heart of anyone who heard it. But Melanie did not waver. She spoke gently, yet with unwavering strength. That's not true. We needed you, Travis. Lies. It's the truth. That's why I need you to be honest with us. Because we believe in you. Melanie continued to look straight at Travis, her gaze steady and resolute. After a moment, I could see the tension drain from Travis's shoulders. Finally, with a deep sigh, he slowly began to speak. I was struggling. For years, the company's growth had stalled. As the CEO, all of that responsibility fell on my shoulders. And yet, the veteran employees would always look at me as if they were thinking, if only Keith were here. It was never about me. It was always about him. Travis paused for a moment, then continued. Ever since Keith came back, I felt more and more like I wasn't needed here. And it's true, isn't it? With him around, the company doesn't need me. If I had been the one to spend the last 10 years outside, maybe I wouldn't have made everyone suffer the way I did. Finally, his voice trembling, Travis twisted his face into a bitter, crumpled smile. This was the reason he had been forcing the employees to work overtime. He believed that if the company's stagnant performance improved, people's perceptions would change. That, instead of Keith, they would finally start looking to him. It was all for nothing, wasn't it? I just ended up letting everyone down. That's not true, Travis. Deliberately, I spoke with a firm, unwavering tone. You were the one who let go of their trust. I let go? You should have brought people together through trust, not force and intimidation. Yeah. And if you were really a leader, you wouldn't have let yourself spiral into self-destruction, dragging the company and its employees down with you. Did you really become president just to throw it all away like this? Silence. Then, slowly, Travis lifted his head. You're right. I failed to become the leader I wanted to be. He reached a hand toward me. Give me the USB with Melanie's recordings, Keith. What? What are you planning to do? Don't worry. I'm not going to destroy the evidence. I'm going to the Labor Standards Office to report everything myself. What? Travis. Melanie and I gasped in unison. Travis remained there, hand outstretched, waiting for me to hand over the USB. His eyes locked onto mine, unwavering. Please, Keith. I hesitated. But in the end, I reached into my pocket and placed the USB in his hand. Thank you. For giving me a chance to make things right. Goodbye. Turning his back to us, Travis started walking toward the door. His figure looked smaller than ever before. But his posture, his straightened back, his steady steps, reminded me of the Travis I had met years ago. The Travis who had once given me hope. Travis! Before I realized it, I had called out to him just as his hand touched the door handle. We'll be waiting. Here, at DreamTech, the company we built together. I can't come back. Not after everything I've done. Come back. We haven't achieved our dream yet, have we? At first, his hand gripped the doorknob. Then, his shoulders trembled slightly, and finally, Travis stopped moving. Our dream, the one we shared, he muttered. Yeah. Using the power of IT to make people around the world happy. And there are still so many people who need our help, not just in the world, but even here in Japan. And if we count the people you've hurt, that number is even greater. That's why you have to come back someday. Travis's shoulders began to shake even more. Melanie took a step forward and spoke. Keith changed me. And if you were the one who changed Keith, then you're also someone who once made me smile. I never got the chance to say it, but thank you, Travis. Melanie. Finally, Travis turned to face us. His cheeks were wet with tears, and more kept falling. Be happy with Melanie. And take care of DreamTech and everyone in it. I leave it to you, Keith. Travis. Hold on to our dream, at least for a while. Wait, does that mean? Without turning back, Travis stepped forward and left the CEO's office. But just before he opened the door, he smiled. And then, he said it clearly and unmistakably. See you again. A year passed in the blink of an eye. DreamTech had undergone a massive transformation. It's already closing time. All right, everyone, pack up. At the sound of the manager's voice, the employees in the development department all shut down their computers in unison. And it wasn't just them. By leveraging AI-powered systems and revising internal processes, DreamTech had successfully eliminated unnecessary overtime, allowing all employees to complete their work within business hours. Good work today. See you tomorrow. The exhaustion that once plagued the office had completely vanished. Now, everyone worked with enthusiasm, finishing tasks efficiently. What's more, with increased communication, new ideas began to emerge naturally from casual conversations. As a result, our company's performance continued to improve, with revenues steadily climbing. The media had even begun covering us as the IT company that transformed from overwork hell to a super work-life balanced success. Keith, we've got another interview request. What do you want to do? Melanie walked over to my desk, holding a tablet in one hand. Midway, she suddenly made an face. Oh, sorry. I almost forgot. I should be calling you president now. I could say the same. I replied with a laugh. I don't think I'll ever get used to calling you vice president, Melanie. After Travis stepped down, I took over as the new president of DreamTech. And at my request, Melanie became the vice president, assisting me in running the company. Having spent 10 years apart, we were now combining our experiences and knowledge to manage DreamTech together. At the same time, we were also still new to being a couple. It took 10 years to finally get your answer, and yet we're so busy that we barely have any time to spend together. Even as she said that, I knew that no one in the company was more passionate about their work than Melanie. And that's exactly why I found her to be the most precious person in the world. After making her wait for so long, I wanted to make sure she would be truly happy from now on. That's why I adjusted our schedule. Let's take off a little early on Friday and go on a trip somewhere. Keith. Melanie's face lit up instantly. Thank you. I couldn't be happier right now. With a bright, beaming smile, she looked so incredibly dear to me. Forgetting that we were in the CEO's office, I pulled Melanie into a tight embrace. And then, another year passed. Good morning, Keith. Good morning. You're here early again. Travis. I'm a newbie, after all. It's my daily routine to arrive before anyone else, clean the restrooms, and study. A man who, despite being called a newbie, carried a certain dignity and confidence, flashed me a broad grin. His name was Travis, the former president of this company. You're working hard, huh, Travis? Of course. I want to repay you and everyone else as soon as possible for giving me another chance. After turning himself into the labor standards office, Travis faced the consequences of his past actions. Then, after offering a heartfelt apology to every employee, he said, "Please look at me again in a year. See if I have truly changed." With those words, he left, asking a distant relative to take him into their company. And now, a year later, Travis had returned to DreamTech. Many opposed his return, but I was the one who brought him back. Honestly, the employees still look at you with suspicion, but that's part of your punishment. The day their eyes change, the day they truly forgive you, that's when you'll know. Yeah. I understand. Now, Travis was working in the sales department, learning everything from scratch. Under the guidance of our top young ace, his mentor Aaron, he had already secured contracts and was contributing to the company. Our roles were different now, but once again, we were chasing our dream together. Bringing happiness to the world through IT, you haven't forgotten, have you, Travis? Of course not, Keith. The grand dream we once held was still far from complete. But one day, we would make it happen. The dazzling morning sun we both gazed at seemed to illuminate the path we would walk from now on. Everyone holds dreams in their hearts, yet some fulfill them while others don't. Perhaps the difference lies in whether one can cherish those around them. The bigger the dream, the harder it is to achieve alone. I've learned that valuing those around you and walking forward together is the key. And when that dream finally comes true, I want to celebrate it with everyone. Until that day, I know we will never stop moving forward.